trust has been eroding in recent years, which is why this week's meeting on rebuilding trust has been so important.
Rebuilding trust with whom exactly? I'm sorry, I'm gonna let you finish. But here's the thing, as far as the public opinion is concerned, they don't trust you and they never will because they didn't elect you. And here's the thing, while we at it, Epstein didn't kill himself and there are probably people in this very forum who were clients of his.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a wealthy pedophile who liked to round up high school girls and tie them to his aisle. Rich and powerful friends of his from all around the world who fly to Epstein's paradise to violate the girls, to violate the girls.
Order! I said order!
The media started getting rough and the girls began to tell. Before Epstein could spill the beans, he was dead inside a cell. A-list started to make the rounds with the names of suspect pearls. There's Epstein and his mistress Sue, the president and the prince, the movie star, the professor and many more. Here on Epstein's Island.
Just because I'm fat, that doesn't invalidate the things that I say.
She died.
You ready to get supersized?
She died too.
Today I've got the big Fruit Loop.
He's dead.
Join me on my Fat Positive radio show.
Which didn't last long because she died.
Please, Spock, do me a favor. And don't say it's fascinating. No. But it is interesting.
I would not run if President Trump ran.
I'm Nikki Haley, and I'm running for president.
I will not now, not ever, support raising the gas tax. Let's increase the gas tax by 10 cents over the next 3 years.
Every person on social media should be verified by their name. That's, first of all, it's a national security threat.
I never said government should go and require anyone's name.
That's false.
So I think China's been a really great friend of ours. Yes, I view China as an enemy.
That was not what I intended to say. I do not think we need to pull money from the UN.
The UN, the only thing is we would defund the UN as much as possible.
That lying bitch!
Take your fingers in like this, and then place your thumb on top like so. That will increase the pleasure.
And now, deep thoughts.
You know, I have to tell you, I love Gen Z. Yes, I know, but I love Gen Z. And it will be a humbling fact to many of us when we realize that anyone who is 18 today, they were born in 2005. Indeed, yes, wow.
Deep thoughts.
You don't have to go to hell. You're in hell. This is hell. This is hell. This is hell.
Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
Then strangled them, and finally dismembered their bodies.
Right.
Then do
available.
and homelessness and all that.
And now, the voice you've been waiting for.
There is a secret song at the center of the world, and its sound is like razors through flesh. I'm here to turn up the volume. I'm kind of retarded.
Well, I was saying last week that it seemed pretty much a certainty that Trump was going to win the Iowa caucus. And what do you know, it took all of the amount of time I uploaded last week's video for the race to be called. And Haley got spanked. Despite the recent rise in her polling, she did come in third behind DeSantis. And what do you think the talking heads on MSNBC attributed this week showing to?
That's a mystery.
It's the elephant in the room. She's still a brown lady. that's got to try to win in a party that is deeply anti-immigrant and which accepts the notion that you can say immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country. She's getting, birthered by Donald Trump. And I don't care how much the donor class likes her, which will ramp up a lot, the better she does in New Hampshire. So it's still a challenge. I don't see how she becomes the nominee of that party with Donald Trump still around. I can't picture it happening. Maybe it could happen.
Ah, yes, of course. Racism. Because she's a brown lady. And what the fuck is on this woman's head? It looks like she went to her hairdresser and said, I want to look like the second coming of Cisco, like he's doing a sequel to the Thong Song. And of course, the brown lady came out and inexplicably said this.
I can safely say, tonight, Iowa made this Republican primary a two-person race.
Wait, what? Yeah, that seems kind of like a weird thing to say when you're not in the top two. Did she get handed the wrong speech? Maybe her aides just didn't have the heart to tell her that she came in third. I could just picture it. Ooh, did I come in second? Did I come in second? Yes, honey, you came in second. You did it. Oh, goody. And I'm not sure which is funnier, that or the guy that gave DeSantis a participation trophy.
Real quick, before we get started, thank you, everyone. Governor DeSantis, I want to present to you this participation trophy.
Even his Eddie Munster-looking wife thought it was funny.
Probably not going to win the election, right? But we're proud of you for trying.
Participation trophy. Sorry, buddy.
No, I mean,
Sorry, buddy. Sorry.
He's special, he's unique, and he's our little snowflake.
Oh, I want to buy that guy a beer. You know, now I'm starting to think that DeSantis was actually going to suspend his campaign the night of the Iowa caucus like Vivek did. But after this dude gets up there and gives him a participation trophy, he must have thought, oh my god, I'm going to be a total fucking joke if I suspend it right now. So he waited 6 days before suspending it. That would also explain why Nikki Haley said what she said that night. Maybe she had gotten wind that Vivek and DeSantis were both going to suspend their campaign, and so that's why she said this is a two-person race. But either way, Haley has to make a really fucking strong showing in New Hampshire. She's put all her eggs in that basket the way that Ron put everything into Iowa. And apparently they're courting the non-Republican voters to come and play spoiler as it's an open primary. You don't have to be registered for a party in order to vote in that primary. So you walk up and you say, yes, Republican ballot, please. People have been pointing out the Democrat money that's been coming to Haley on the sly. And this fucking hilarious video of her with the governor of New Hampshire has been making the rounds.
$200 or less. This is a grassroots network. They're picking one Democrat donor, but they're not looking at all of them. I will tell you, the number one...
Look at Sununu's face. He looks so genuinely confused. Look at his brow. He's like, holy shit, what have I gotten myself into? And look at her fucking crazy eyes. She looks like she's hopped up on them Broward County Tic Tacs. And another video that's been making the rounds was this press conference that Sean Strickland did where he completely went off on this Canadian bitch boy reporter.
I don't know how to phrase that.
You got like fucking, yeah.
Well, I did want to ask you.
Did you vote for Trudeau?
I'm not going to say.
And let me tell you something right now. If a man says he's not going to say, like, if you ask a motherfucker, did you vote for Biden? He's like, well, I'm not going to say. That's none of your business. He voted for fucking Biden.
Sean, I'm glad you've had great experiences.
So this is what I'm talking about, you guys. The enemy of Canada.
Sure.
All right.
That's what it's got to be. It's got to be. We've got a pretty supportive gay and lesbian community in this city. I did want to ask you about something you wrote a couple of years ago. You said, if I had a gay son, I would think I'd...
Oh, look, another reason I'm saying to you, the swamp, you guys, the swamp.
You become a champion, you become a star, and some would say...
Let me ask you something. Are you gay?
I've had the chance to interact with a more diverse...
Are you gay?
Could I get an answer?
Well, no, I'm asking, this is a part of, are you a gay man?
I'm an ally of the community.
Okay. If you had a son and he was like, you had a son, he was gay, you'd be like, oh man, you don't want a grandkid?
No problem with it.
Oh man, well, dude, you're a weak fucking man, dude. You're probably the fucking problem. You elected Justin Trudeau. Like, when he sees the bank accounts, like, you're just fucking pathetic. And the fact that you have no fucking backbone, and has he shut down your fucking country and seized bank accounts? You ask me some stupid shit like that? Go fuck yourself. Move the fuck on, man.
Really, that doesn't really answer the
coward.
question, but I did want to ask also things you said about the trans community. You said this past October when they announced the Bud Light sponsorship that you'd go so hard on Bud Light in your next fight, they'll have to accept me or denounce me when they know what, and will know what they stand for. Are you
This guy's like that. This Canadian's not that Canadian.
Are you still going to use your fight time to kind of speak on that?
Here's the thing about Bud Light. 10 years ago, to be trans was a mental fucking illness. And now all of a sudden, people like you have fucking weaseled your way in the world. You are an infection. You are the definition of weakness. Everything that is wrong with the world is because of fucking you. And the best thing is the world's not buying it. The world's not buying your fucking bullshit you're fucking peddling. The world is not saying, you know what? You're right. Fucking chicks have dicks. The world's not saying that. The world's saying, no, there are two genders. I don't want my kids being taught about, who they could fuck in school. I don't want my kids being taught about, their sexual preference. Like, dude, this guy is a fucking enemy. You want to look at the fucking enemy to our world? It's that motherfucker right there, asking these stupid fucking questions. Sorry, I told the UFC I was being nicer. Lance, am I still good at this? Did I cross any lines?
I fucking love this guy. I don't even really watch UFC, but I gotta respect the shit out of the fact that they basically give these guys free reign to say whatever the fuck they want. It's a beautiful thing. And of course, there's also this battle between the Texas governor and the feds heating up.
Video today shows Texas installing even more fencing and razor wire inside Shelby Park, defying the Biden administration's deadline to reopen the property to the feds. Fox cameras captured this moment when the Texas National Guard told migrants approaching the razor wire barricade to turn around to Mexico. The United States government is suing Texas, arguing its agents need access to this 2.5-mile stretch of land around Shelby Park, especially during emergencies. Texas DPS tells Fox News that Texas kicked the feds out from this park because it thinks it can do a better job deterring migrants, claiming the Biden administration removes the state's razor wire and doesn't care about securing the border.
It's not normal. It's not humane for anyone to cross a river, including children. It really shows how the federal government is attacking Texas for trying to prevent that, because what they want to do, they want to keep the border open.
Also, a major change in procedure. Texas is now arresting migrants illegally crossing into the U.S., which Governor Abbott implemented under his emergency declaration.
They had been trying to stop them with razor wire and those buoys in the river, but the feds kept coming in and removing the buoys and destroying the razor wire, and so they said, all right, fuck it, you're out of here. So they gave him a deadline. They said, okay, you've got until the end of the day Wednesday to let us back in there. Or what? The deadline came and went, and all they did was cry more like little bitches. So I will give Abbott credit somewhat for this. I just fear that it's a day late and a dollar short. And of course, one of the biggest stories of the past week was the yearly conference of the World Economic Fuckheads, the douchebags in Davos. And this year's theme? Rebuilding trust in the future. Have you tried not being lying, control freak pieces of shit? I don't know, just give it a shot, see if it helps. I mean, it's not like they're trying to turn over a new leaf here. When they say rebuilding trust in the future, they mean putting the populations back to sleep, getting all those peasants, all those pathetic poors, to stop being so uppity. They always try to word things to try to make them sound legitimate, but they never mean them quite like they say. You hear about the rules-based order a lot, and if you're a total idiot, you think they're talking about order that's based on rules that people all have to follow. But that's not what they mean at all. What they mean is, we are your rulers, and you will follow our orders. Of course, when you say it like that, you kind of sound like an asshole. So it sounds better to just say, oh, we just want to defend the rules-based order. And all the idiots go, well, gee, that sounds good. And of course, there was a lot of talk about their usual line of bullshit, about how one of the biggest threats that the world faces today is misinformation.
Oh, the irony!
It's too much!
Then there was that dumb bitch trying to coin the new term, ecocide.
I mean, ecocide as a word is becoming better known around the world, and the concept is generally mass damage and destruction of nature. But legally speaking, what our organisation and other collaborators aim to do is to have this recognised legally as a serious crime. Because one of the issues that sort of pervades all of this discussion is that we have a kind of cultural, very ingrained habit of not taking damage to nature as seriously as we take damage to people and property. And that, I mean, you know, if you're campaigning for human rights, at least you know mass murder, torture, all of these things are serious crimes. But there's no equivalent in the environmental space. And so, you know, unlike an international crime like genocide that involves a specific intent, with ecocide, what we see is actually what people are trying to do, what businesses are trying to do, is make money, is farm, is fish, is do all of these things that are, producing energy and so on, as well. But what's missing is the awareness and the conscience around the side effects, around the collateral damage that happens with that.
Of course, when she talks about ecocide and damage to the environment, she doesn't mean things like forever chemicals, glyphosate, microplastics. No. The only thing we gotta worry about is people like these fucking farmers. They're the ones destroying the earth. I mean, of course, somebody has to do the farming, but who? Well, they just want to get rid of all the smaller farmers and have the big conglomerates do it all for us. Of course, those are the ones that are dumping massive amounts of chemicals onto the ground. It gets into the groundwater, and now we're all poisoned. Hooray! But that's how you know these people are full of shit. They don't give a fuck about the environment. And there were a couple things that I was pleasantly surprised about. The president of the Heritage Foundation, for one.
It's laughable that you would, or anyone would, describe Davos as protecting liberal democracy. It's equally,
standing up for it.
It's equally laughable to use the word dictatorship at Davos and aim that at President Trump. In fact, I think that's absurd. But I'm going to step aside from that constructive criticism and instead answer your question.
Yep.
And I'm going to be substantive here. President Trump, if he's the next president, for that matter, I think whoever the next conservative president is going to take on the power of the elites, which I mentioned earlier. But the thing that I want to drive home here, the very reason that I'm here at Davos, is to explain to many people in this room and who are watching, with all due respect, nothing personal, but that you're part of the problem. Political elites tell the average people on 3 or 4 or 5 issues that the reality is X, when in fact reality is Y. Take immigration. Elites tell us that open borders and even illegal immigration are okay. The average person tells us in the United States that both rob them of the American way of life. They're right. President Trump will take that on behalf of the average American. Elites also tell us that public safety isn't a problem in big American cities. Just travel to New York or Washington or Dallas, Texas. The average person will tell you that the lack of public safety damages not just the American way of life, but their life. President Trump will take that on. Thirdly, I guess the favorite at the World Economic Forum is climate change. Elites tell us that we have this existential crisis with so-called climate change, so much so that climate alarmism is probably the greatest cause for mental health crisis in the world. The solutions, the average person know, based on climate change are far worse and more harmful and cost more human lives, especially in Europe during the time that you need heating, than do the problem and the problems themselves. Fourth, 2 more here, Robin. Okay. The fourth, China. The number one adversary, not just to the United States, but to free people on planet Earth. Not only do we at Davos not say that, we give the Chinese Communist Party a platform. Count on President Trump ending that nonsense. And fifth, as we sit here, another supranational organization, the World Health Organization, is discussing foisting gender ideology upon the global South. These are practices that are under review, if not being rejected, by countries in Northern Europe. The new president, especially if it's President Trump, will, as you like to say, trust the science. He will understand the basic biological reality of manhood and womanhood. And do you know why? Not because of retribution, not because he's a dictator, but because he has the power of the American people behind him. And it's connected to Senator Portman's excellent point that in addition to needing a vigorous executive, we look forward to having the popular will inform both the House and Senate in 2025 to pass laws on all of those issues and many others. Ultimately, Robin, I think President Trump, if in fact he wins a second term, is going to be inspired by the wise words of Javier Milei, who said that he was in power not to guide sheep, but to awaken lions. That's what the average American and the average free person on planet Earth wants.
Yes! Something tells me that guy might not be invited back next year. And he mentioned the Argentinian president Javier Milei. Well, the speech he gave at this conference was nothing short of badass. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. A little bit less than 20 minutes, and it is well worth watching. And on that note, I'm going to end it. I know there's no pro tip this week, but I promise I will make up for it next week. I've got a surprise in the works. Sláinte.
All I have in this world is my thoughts and my word, and I don't break them for no one. You understand? So say good night to the bad guy. 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 Come on. Come on.
Look at you now.